Om Sai Ram. Let us understand chapter number 52, an overall view which summarizes the book. Before that, let us do the Namasmaran and then chapter number 52, and we will summarize and we will conclude chapter number 52 with the Aarti. श्री सच्चिदानंद सतगुरु साईनाथ महाराज की जय। ओम साई नमो नमः। श्री साई नमो नमः। जय जय साई नमो नमः। सतगुरु साई नमो नमः। ओम साई नमो नमः। श्री साई नमो नमः। जय जय साई नमो नमः। सतगुरु साई नमो नमः। ओम साई नमो नमः। श्री साई नमो नमः। जय जय साई नमो नमः। सतगुरु साई नमो नमः। ओम साई नमो नमः। श्री साई नमो नमः। जय जय साई नमो नमः। सतगुरु साई नमो नमः। ओम साई नमो नमः। श्री साई नमो नमः। जय जय साई नमो नमः। सतगुरु साई नमो नमः। ओम साई नमो नमः। श्री साई नमो नमः। जय जय साई नमो नमः। सतगुरु साई नमो नमः। ओम साई नमो नमः। श्री साई नमो नमः। जय जय साई नमो नमः। सतगुरु साई नमो नमः। श्री सच्चिदानंद सतगुरु साईनाथ महाराज की जय। Om Sai Ram. Chapter number 52, an overall view which summarizes the book. I bow down to Sri Ganesh. I bow down to Sri Saraswati. I bow down to the Guru. I bow down to the family deity. I bow down to Sri Sita Ramachandra. I bow down to Sri Satguru Sainath. Now, let us do a review and thereby conclude the book with the table of contents and the overall view which summarizes the book. The experiences of Baba's devotees had when he was in the body have been published in Sai Leela. Baba got the book written so that they could recollect them. Sai Leela is supremely pure and holy. In it, the Sai Satcharitra has been published in a serial form, chapter after chapter. Read this as the biography of your own Guru Charita. It will awaken you and it will give you advice relating to this and the other world. There is a multitude of stories about Baba, yet this Hemad Pant, ignorant of intimate knowledge of scriptures or even knowledge in general, was made to write this biography, holding his hand on his own. In the case of some gurus, they narrate their own fame to their disciples and they leave their bodies and inspiration arises to write the book about them. When Sai narrated stories of different kinds, they were deep and profound. The listeners became deeply engrossed and forgot hunger and thirst. Those who have seen Sai with their own eyes have had threefold miseries destroyed. He whose power was such, how can it be described in detail? Such a Sai who was famous for his magnanimity, got his biography of his fame written down for the upliftment of those who were devoted to him. After bathing in the holy Godavari and taking darshan of Sai's Baba Samadhi, listen to the Satcharitra. The threefold afflictions will be quelled. Just casually telling the stories about him leads one to an unknowingly embrace of spirituality. But When you glance at this book, a multitude of sins will be destroyed. Those who desire to end the cycle of birth and death, the wearisome coming on going, should enjoy themselves at the Guru's feet and constantly remember and chant his name with devotion. Inadvertence is the cause of illusionary knowledge. Inattention to the form of the Atman leads to the endless cycle of birth and death, and it is the root cause for ultimate destruction. Greed means illusionary knowledge, which is not Atman, such as body, mind, senses, and to have pride in that is called death by the wise. After due consideration, if the ocean of Sai stories is churned, then the narration of Sai stories will be sweet and newer nuances will always surface. The downfall of the listeners will be averted if one concentrates deeply on Sai's attributes, which is like a gigantic overflowing vessel. The form of the Atman will be in the subtlest, will manifest after the disappearance of the physical form, unless one gets absorbed in the physical virtuous form with attributes one cannot understand or realize. The luster of the Atman, Parabrahman, without the attributes is difficult to understand completely or beyond comprehension. Sai pulled his own loving devotees who had faith with his might, be giving darshan of his feet, and while they were still in the body, made them to forget that body. They were put in the spiritual path even without knowing it. When the river embraces the sea, it forgets its identity. Similarly, when a devotee surrenders to Sai, Sai ensures that the devotee no longer has the feeling of duality or separatedness. When the two flames of the lamp embrace one another and become one, the dual state is ultimately lost and they become one lamp with oneness. Can the camphor and its fragrance, the sun and the light, the gold and its luster be separate? Just as the river on entering the sea becomes the sea itself truly, and the salt put in the sea merges into the sea. Similarly, when the devotees surrender to Sai, their separatedness no longer remains. The devotees become one with Sai, leaving aside their egos, whether waking, dreaming, sleeping, or eating. If one is replete with the thoughts of Sai, then what else it is except the release from worldly existence? So be it. Now, prostrating myself, I ask for this boon at your feet. Do not let my desires attract to me to any other place suddenly. One who fills the space and manifestation from Brahman to a pillar, from a small vessel to the house like a sky within and without, knows not merely the slightest differentiation, to whom all devotees are equal, to whom praise nor insult mattered, who found nothing pleasant or unpleasant, and who had not an iota of inequality. I surrender to that Sai Samartha, remembering whom results in everything achieved. I place my head at his feet for all times so that I may be fulfilled. Now I offer my salutations to the virtuous listeners who are devout. You have been good friends. I request you to truly listen to what I say now. Every month, you have to set aside time to listen to the stories up till now. Do not forget him whose stories you have heard every moment. As long as you listen to the stories of Sai with love, till that time for me, who is the narrator, Sai gives enthusiasm or zeal. If the listeners are not completely attentive, the narrator can never be happy. Without mutual joy, futile is the trouble of listening. This ocean of existence is very difficult to cross, where innumerable waves of attachment arise and dash against the banks of bad thoughts, toppling down even trees of fortitude. Wings of egoism blow forcibly and make the ocean turbid and agitated. Huge crocodiles in the form of anger, hatred, etc. move fearlessly. Innumerable eddies in the form of pride of I and mine, cravings and suspicions whirl there. A multitude of marine creatures such as hatred, jealousy, disdain, and such abound there. Even though this ocean is fierce and terrible, the Sadguru is its Agasti and will demolish it. Those who are slaves of the dust of his feet have no fear at all. Therefore, Sai Samartha Sadguru, by becoming the ship of crossing the ocean of existence, will take us all who have taken refuge in him to the other bank. The ocean of existence is extremely insurmountable. Make Sai's feet your boat, which will take you across to the other bank without any fear. Observe the miracle of faith. By observing such a woe, one does not experience the acute pain of worldly existence. There is no other gain better than this. This itself is the strength that stands us in a good stead. May the devotees attain such a state that they have deep devotion at Sai's feet, and they keep Sai's form so firmly fixed before their eyes that they see Sai in all creatures. By becoming self willed in my previous birth, I have slipped. At least now I should achieve absolution by becoming free from desires. Blessed are those devotees of Sai who have firm faith and who are without fear from that Shri Samartha is their protector and nothing can touch them. So be it. Now it occurs to me as a boon from him by holding on to his feet on behalf of all the devotees. I pray that this book reaches every home and is read and recited regularly, that is lovingly, repeatedly, and ritually, and that it removes their difficulties. Whosoever reads this book within 7 consecutive days with love and faith after proper appellations, his calamities will be removed. This book is woven with the threads of spirituality. It is full of stories of Krishna and the Brahman. It abounds with the essence or nectar of the unity of Brahman and the Atman, and it overflows with the unparalleled joy of non duality. This is Eknath's poetry, which is as pleasing as the garden of India. It is the Vrindavan of 32 parts, the wise and the ignorant savior. This sweet and pleasing dish made from milk. Listening to this Satcharita or reciting it regularly will result in the feat of Sai Samartha, removing all difficulties without any delay. Those desiring wealth will get it. Those who are upright in their conduct and dealings will have completely renowned. The results will depend upon their faith. Without devotion, you will not have experience. Reading the book with reverence, Sai Samartha is propitiated. He destroys ignorance and poverty and grants knowledge and untold prosperity. This book was written due to the indication by Sai, and it was his secret desire. Blessed is that devotee who is attached to his feet. One should make it a practice to read at least one chapter of the Satcharita every day with a calm and concentrated mind. It will bring immeasurable joys and happiness. One who desires his own welfare should really read this book. He will be obliged by Sai through all the cycles of life, and he will remember Sai with overwhelming joy in birth after birth. This book should be definitely read at one's own home at Sai festivals such as Guru Purnima, Gokula Ashtami, Punya Tithi, and Ram Navami. One's status in the next birth is determined by the desires of the mind in this one. The Shastras also support the belief that one is born again according to one's tendencies at the time of death. Sri Sai is the support of his devotees. Without him, the impediments in our way are not destroyed. What is the wonder in finding that mother has tender feelings for her children? How can I narrate the stories beyond this? The words fail me. It seems that it would be better to be silent. This would be the best way to praise him. Yet, if one has an acute desire of liberation, they perform virtuous deeds always. Practice the nine forms of devotion, including listening to his stories, etc. One will be purified from within. This is not possible without the grace of the Guru. Without him, there is no knowledge of the Supreme Being. One who always remembers that I am Brahman has firm faith and inclination towards the Guru. The relationship is like the father and the son between the Guru and the disciple. The word Guru is only used as an honorific. The Father makes one worthy of worldly happiness, but the Guru grants happiness in this world as well as in the other world. The Father gives transient wealth, but the Guru grants that which is boundless. He makes you experience the imperishable and places it in your hands without your knowledge. The mother keeps one inside the womb for 9 months and then brings out at birth. The Guru is the opposite of a mother. He takes you in from the outer self, ultimately remembering the Guru constantly at the time of leaving the body. The disciple will be absorbed in the Brahman and undoubtedly goaded by the Guru. The impact of the hand of the teacher when striking will lead to the uprooting of birth and death. And if the teacher brings about the fall of the raiment, which is the body, that then who indeed is more fortunate than the disciple? It will be necessary for the Guru to take the hand of a sword, a mace, a battle axe, or a pike, or some other instrument. On being struck, the disciple will have a real consciousness, and the corporal form of a great preceptor will be seen. However much one cares for the body, at some point of time it is going to perish. Therefore, if it is struck by the Guru's hand, he will be relieved of the next birth. Strike me so much as to kill me and cut off my pride from its roots, whereby there will be no rebirth. Strike me in such a way that it will be difficult for me to endure. Burn my deeds, good and evil, end my righteous and unrighteous behavior, whereby I will become supremely happy. Tear and drive away in this manner my delusion on account of desires. Drive away my doubts and desires and make me unchanging of my purpose. I do not want meritorious deeds, or do I want sins. I do not want the trouble of another birth. On surrendering to you, you are there on all the four sides, to the east and the west, in all directions, above in the sky and below, in neither regions. You dwell everywhere and even within me. What more can I say? I am troubled by the thought of the difference between you and me. Therefore, Hemant surrenders wholeheartedly. He holds the Sadguru's feet firmly by avoiding the cycle of birth and death. He gets himself uplifted by making Hemant the instrument. He wrote his own life story for the upliftment of his innumerable devotees. Is this not an unparalleled deed? It was incredible that this Shri Sai Samartha Satcharitra should have been written at my hands. If it is not, Been for Sai's grace, it would have been impossible for an insignificant person like me. My association with him was not of long standing. I had not the experience to know saints nor the discerning capacity. Moreover, I was always doubting and an unbeliever. I had never worshipped anyone exclusively and with singular devotion. I have never sat even for a moment to do bhajans by getting his life story written in my hands. He demonstrated what he could do to people in order to fulfill his own words. Sai himself reminds me about the incidents for this book and accomplishes his own aim. Hemad is only used for namesake. Can a mosquito lift the Meru mountain, or can a lapwing empty out of the ocean? But when the Satguru's support is there, the miraculous can happen. So be it. Now the listeners, I do obeisance to you. This book is now complete. I offer to Sai what is Sai. I prostrate before the whole group of listeners, young and old, in your company. This series of Sai Satcharita has been completed. Who am I to complete it? This is useless pride, for when Sai is the holder of the reins, the strings like the puppeteer, then who am I to say that I have done it? Therefore, abandoning pride, which is the root cause of all miseries, let us sing the praises of our own Guru, who knows the inner tendencies and is enlightening. I now complete this yagna of words. This book is complete. My desire has been fulfilled. The work undertaken for Sai is complete. I have accomplished the object of my existence. All one desires will be fulfilled by reading such a book from the beginning to the end, and by holding the feet of the Satguru close to the heart. One will cross the ocean of worldly existence. The sick will become healthy, the impoverished will become rich, the quietude of mind will be gained by people suffering from indecision, and even the destitute will become generous. Repeated reading of this book will exorcise demons and cure epilepsy. Listening to it will be beneficial for the dumb, blind, handicapped, and the deaf. Even those who have forgotten the Almighty Lord, lured by ignorance, will be uplifted. Even those will be uplifted who, through human, behave like demons and waste their bodies in vain, believing this worldly existence to be a mine of happiness. Incredible are the deeds of Sainath. Hemath was established at his feet eternally. By channeling him into his own service, he got this task accomplished. In the end, to the Sadguru, who is the controller of the universe, the inspirer of self realization, I offer my opus and my head onto his feet forever. Om Sai Ram. Let us now do the Aarti. श्री सच्चिदानंद सतगुरु साईनाथ महाराज की जय. शिर्डी माझे पंढरपूर साई बाबा रमावर बाबा रमावर साई बाबा रमावर शुद्ध भक्ती चंद्रभागा भाव पुंडलिक जागा पुंडलिक जागा भाव पुंडलिक जागा याव याव अवके जन करा बाबा श्रीवंदन साई श्रीवंदन करा बाबा श्रीवंदन तनु बने बाबा साई धाव पाव माझे आई पाव माझे आई धाव काचे आए गनेल्लो तांगन बने कचरन रोयति पाइन रूप तुझे प्रेमी न रंगिन अनंत पूजिम पवेव इन बने नमा त्वमेव माता पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धु सदा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्या दैरङ्गमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव अयनुमा चापसनिर्मा उद्याकना वा पतन समाव करोमि यद्यं सकलन्तरस्मै नारायण इति समर्पयामि अच्युतं केशवं राम नाम नारायणं कृष्णदामोदरं वासुदेवं हरे केशवं माधवं गोपिकावल्लभं जानकीनायकं रामचन्द्रं हरे हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे श्री गुरुदेव दत्त सच्चिदानंद सद्गुरु साईनाथ महाराज की जय. Om Sai Ram. I urge all the devotees to read one chapter of the Sai Satcharitra every day and soak in Baba bliss. Baba bless you. Om Sai Ram.